In a prosperous kingdom, there was a highly talented minister whom the king deeply trusted. He always had a solution for every problem and was an important advisor in the royal court. No major decision was made by the king without consulting him. However, because of this special trust, he became the target of jealousy from many other officials in the court. They disliked him and constantly sought ways to undermine him in the eyes of the king. One day, the king unexpectedly said to the minister, "You are very intelligent, but your son is utterly foolish. He has no sense at all." The minister was surprised and asked, "Your Majesty, I do not understand what you mean. Why do you say my son is foolish?" The king replied, "Every morning when I go to meet the people, I ask your son which is more valuable, gold or silver. And every day he answers that silver is the most valuable." The entire court burst into laughter. The minister felt both confused and embarrassed. Without saying a word, he left the palace, filled with doubt, and decided to return home to ask his son about the strange answer. Upon reaching home, the minister immediately called his son and asked seriously, "My son, tell me the truth. Why do you tell the king every day that silver is more valuable than gold? Do you realize that because of this, the entire court mocks you and calls you a fool?" The son calmly replied, "Father, I know very well that gold is more valuable than silver, but if I answered correctly, I would lose what I truly want." The minister frowned, still not fully understanding. The boy patiently explained, "Every morning when the king visits the people, he places 2 coins before me, 1 silver and 1 gold. He asks me to take the more valuable one. If I choose gold, the game will end immediately. But I deliberately choose silver, making the king amused. Because of this, he continues to ask me the same question every day. Father, come with me." Saying this, the boy led his father to his room and opened a wooden box. Inside, hundreds of silver coins gleamed. The minister's eyes widened in surprise. "All of this silver, where did you get it from?" The boy smiled and said, "These are the coins the king gives me every day. If I had chosen gold the first time, I would have only 1 gold coin. But by persistently choosing silver, I have accumulated an entire treasure." At that moment, the minister finally understood. He no longer felt ashamed or saddened. Instead, he was filled with pride at his son's sharp intellect and patience. After hearing his son's explanation, the minister could not hide his astonishment. He stared at the silver in the box, full of admiration. "You are truly intelligent," he said proudly. "The people in the court, even the king himself, laugh at you and think you are foolish. But in reality, they are the ones who fail to understand the wisdom hidden behind your actions." The boy smiled, his eyes filled with calm and confidence. "Father, I realized something early on," he said. "In life, showing intelligence is not always beneficial. Sometimes pretending to be foolish helps us gain more. If I had chosen gold from the start, I would have only 1 coin. But by continuing to play the fool, I have accumulated a fortune without anyone noticing." The minister nodded in agreement, filled with deep pride. He understood that true wisdom is not just about knowing right from wrong, but also about using intelligence to achieve long-term benefits. From that day forward, whenever someone in the court mocked his son as a fool, the minister simply smiled without arguing. He knew that sometimes those who are called foolish are actually the wisest of all. This story reminds us that intelligence does not always need to be displayed openly. Knowing how to conceal it and wait for the right opportunity is the true art of success. The story of the boy and the silver coins carries a profound lesson about wisdom and success in life. Some people always seek to show off their intelligence, wanting to prove to the world how capable they are. But others choose silence, taking a step back, observing the situation, and acting at the right moment. The boy in the story is a perfect example of this. If he had chosen the gold coin at the start, he would have received a small reward but lost the opportunity to gain more. But thanks to his patience and strategy, he turned the king's gain into an opportunity to accumulate long-term wealth. He understood that sometimes the best way to win is not to appear excellent, but to let others underestimate you. In reality, those who achieve great success are often not the ones who loudly boast about their intelligence, but those who understand the value of patience and strategy. A wise person knows when to speak, when to remain silent, and when to wait for the best opportunity. So, If someone calls you foolish or ignorant, do not rush to argue. Instead, ask yourself, does their opinion truly matter? If you are on the right path, steadily accumulating small opportunities to achieve a bigger goal, then their words hold no real significance. True intelligence is not about proving how smart you are to others. It is about achieving what you truly desire. The story of the boy and the silver coins is a valuable lesson in wisdom and handling judgment from others. In life, you do not always need to reveal your abilities to be recognized. Sometimes, wisdom lies in knowing when to stay silent, when to act, and most importantly, when to let others think you are foolish. The boy in the story did not care about being laughed at or underestimated. He clearly understood his goal and remained steadfast in his strategy. Through patience and a smart approach, he turned what seemed like a disadvantage into an opportunity to accumulate long-term benefits. This reflects an important principle in life. Sometimes, not appearing too smart can help you gain more. Many successful people in the world are not those who constantly try to prove themselves to others, but those who quietly seize opportunities. They do not let criticism distract them from their path. Instead, they persistently follow their plan. Therefore, if you know you are on the right path, keep moving forward without worrying about negative opinions. Wisdom is not always about words. Sometimes it is reflected in actions and results. The world often misunderstands those with a long-term vision, but in the end, those who dare to follow their own path are the ones who make a real difference. The story of the boy and the silver coins teaches a deep lesson about wisdom and handling people's opinions. In life, many people rush to prove how smart and capable they are, but they do not realize that humility and patience are often the keys to true success. The boy in the story was thought to be foolish because he always chose the silver coin instead of the gold one. But in reality, he understood that by choosing the silver coin every day, he could accumulate much more in the long run. He did not need to argue or prove his intelligence. He simply acted wisely to gain the best benefit. The lesson here is simple, yet profound. If you know you are on the right path, stay persistent and do not let external judgments affect you. The world often fails to understand those with a long-term vision, but staying determined and knowing yourself will lead you to success without needing to show off.